Greetings, community, and welcome to Entropy and Comics and another edition of this week's signed books. Actually, it was almost 3 weeks. Anyways, in the past 3 weeks, I end up seeing quite a few people. I've been a little bit busy, but at the same point, in the past 2 weeks, I've had plenty enough time to go ahead and meet 5 people. A few of which I've never seen before, and a couple of which I just have the pleasure of re-meeting and the rejoice of catching up on old times. Now, let's start off by first saying that the individuals that I met was starting out with individuals I've never met before. Tillie Walden, Derek Kolstad. Pardon me if I get this incorrect, however. Shahin Chandrasoma. And the individuals I just have a pleasure of hanging out and re-speaking with is David Barron, who unfortunately I have an infrequent enough time to either one, spend enough time with, and two, an infrequent enough time that I get to see him over a course of a time period, meaning I think I've only seen him like 3 times in the past 6 years. Not enough. And also Patrick Horvath, who anyone who's ever met him knows that he's just not only, like a bright shining star just amongst, the heavens, but he is just an individual of a lot of interest. He has a past history that is both colorful and interesting to listen to. He has such a direction in the meaning of his stories, meaning when he's telling you even of his past, it usually goes to a point to where it's a pleasure to hear not only the story, but it usually ends in some positive note in which that the adventure was pleasurable to not only listen to, but sometimes philosophical in meaning. So it's just, the dude's cool. I'm just saying. So those 5 individuals I did have the pleasure of meeting, and 3 of which I've never met before, 2 of which I have, and all of which I just had an awesome time. Now, before I get into the full details in which the time in which that I spent, I want to acknowledge those that cruise on through on the rewind. Without you, it would not be nearly as pleasurable as it is for me to go ahead and give in detail or share with you in which that I do of not only my collection, my stories, my interactions, and my joys that I have in collecting. But it's just overall, I just appreciate not only you guys hanging out and supporting me, but it just makes it that much more fun reading the comments and or seeing the thumbs up. Thank you so much. It means the world to me. Moving on from that, let's go ahead and discuss Tillie. Tillie Walden is not only an individual who I've never met before, that I've only interacted with slightly on Instagram, but meeting her in person also was much like how I guess describe Patrick, in the sense of she is so vibrant, colorful, as an individual without being in any way ostentatious by the way she displays herself or conveys herself. It's just a matter of who she is inside of her heart and how she you can see has pleasure in doing the works that she does, and also interacting with the individuals that also enjoy her works. She is most notably, I guess, in my opinion, been renowned for doing this, bringing Clementine to the world beyond The Walking Dead on like a video game. Now, Clementine is an interesting character that I think a lot of people really want to see go deep dive into, not only her tales throughout The Walking Dead, but I think a lot of people are hoping that these interactions would somehow translate onto the screen. Now, a little girl, as always, is not someone you want to be able to have in these type of scenarios. At the same point, it does bring in an audience because of the fact that their empathy, sympathy, compassion is there as they're witnessing these horrific stories, adventures, aspects that are going on surrounding her and her life, and how The Walking Dead, as you well know if you're already a fan of, know that it's just always perilous. So Clementine not only caught a lot of people's attention with the new comic book day, but also with the understanding and knowledge that there was going to be ongoing series. Now, the third volume, I guess you can say, of the storyline just dropped about 2 weeks ago. And I'm not certain, but I want to say that does finalize the series as it was supposed to be told in that aspect of it. Now, I don't know if there's going to be anything going on from this, but it does, this is one, does give a full comprehensive story of what she's dealing with and her ordeals in The Walking Dead and the first book, second and third that just released. Meeting with Tillie and I guess her passion for not only for the industry but for her works and her contribution to this character and in such a franchise that has been going on for a while. Not only meant, in my opinion, a lot to her, but it really showed in how she presented herself and how she was talking about not only the character and the series, but how much fun that she had doing it herself. Yeah, it was just, I didn't get to spend a whole lot of time, but what I got a strong understanding of her view and her knowledge to the contribution to the Walking Dead world. And I think it can't be understated that, in my opinion, she did an absolutely stupendous job. It's just awesome. I can't really say enough. Tillie, it was a pleasure not only meeting you once, but I hope I have a future honor and privilege to once again meet you again. Thank you for signing all my books. And yeah, most awesome. Just Clementine is a cool character. I'm just saying. Moving on from that. As I made mention before, I did see Patrick Horvath. I hopefully will see him this weekend. I'll talk about that soon. I've met him a couple times in the past. I've had him sign essentially everything that I own from him. I just realized I didn't bring out my haha stuff. He also did issue number 4 of haha, both the storyline and the art, and contributed to the understanding or break down the storyline, and he did the art. I got A's and B's, 2 of each. I had him sign that. I had him sign all my Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Volume 1. And if those of you that know, Volume 2 just released. And that's what I'm getting at. I had him sign my Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees Rite of Spring. Issue number 1. The cover A's. The 1 in 10. And the 1 in 25s. It is a cool cover. Just saying. Now, Patrick, he not only tells these horrific tales and this anamorphic styling, but the uniqueness in which that it's done, again, look at the palette. Just beyond the fact that he's using these animals to portray the characters in these sick and twisted stories. The palette, in my opinion, also does it because it really brings that Berenstein Bear-esque style. Wow, portrayal of the storyline, which also does give a lot of gravity to the story because of the way it's told and the irony in which that is done. It's done in such a way that it brings you in as an individual, not only just out of the curiosity of the storyline, as in any story. At the same point, a lot of times, sometimes you will need gimmicks to go ahead and bring in readers, especially of today. Anything from a blind bag to saying that there's going to be a couple of pages of more, explicit detail. So you go ahead and red bag it or something. There's so many different ways and so many different gimmicks and so many different things are going on nowadays that it's hard to go ahead and bring a reader in on just its merit. So in the case of when it comes to a story like this, the only gimmick is it's a brilliantly written story in a very interesting and twisted way of doing the art and bringing the two together to make a mesh that is somewhat seamless and again, as I'm going to overuse the statement and the term, brilliant in its delivery. So it's just, yeah, Patrick, keep it up. I'm going to keep buying everything you do. You're going to make me poor, and I'm going to love it all the way until I can't read anymore. So I just saying I enjoyed the time that I spent with him. He always has a lot of interesting stories. He did tell a couple of which that were seeming a little personal, but it was a matter of outside of some of the personal aspects, how he did tell how he started doing some of his art, and it was a matter of him quitting smoking. And by the time, he was kind of giving one to the other, meaning the time that it would normally take to inhale a cigarette, light it up, ash it, to go through his daily business. If he were to take that time out and apply it to something that he wanted to do, like art, the amount of investment in art and by giving up the smoking allowed him to do stories like this. Just saying. So, yeah, we're privileged enough to not only get these stories from him, but to know that, out of something, beautiful in the idea of doing something disciplinary, we get something that is privileged to us, which is his stories. Somewhat awesome. I want to take a moment and acknowledge a dude that's here. Hey, Chef, how you do? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do a little, this week's signed books, give you some story on those individuals that I've met over the past couple weeks. Hopefully I'll be, like I was going to say, spending some time with some individuals this weekend, but I'm going to get into that in a moment. After I finish the final trip, this was an interesting journey. And the reason why this was an interesting journey is if I was to do this trek, which I've never done before, it was a comic book crawl, but with an intent. The intent is if you went around and bought or received the exclusive from each shop that Derek Kolstad that was going to be at, along with certain individuals that were contributors to his Planet Death comic storyline, then you would receive a one-of-a-kind cover that would be acknowledging that you went to all of the signing events in a single day. So the signing event started at Golden Apple, then went over to Revenge of Comics and Pinball, and then ended at Collector's Paradise in Pasadena, where if you would receive all of those exclusives from each shop, buying them, and presented all three of those at the signing event, at the final one, then you would receive a special cover. So, starting off, this is one of the covers I got done. This is Planet Death, the foily cover, and signed by Derek Kolstad. Now, when I got there, he was there, but I didn't see him. He was hanging out with Jay Lee and a bunch of other people that were then doing another signing event right after. I'm not going to get into that because I really didn't stay for that event, trying to beat everybody over at the other stuff. So like I said, I didn't get to see Derek yet, but I got to buy the book and receive the acknowledgement that I was at the event at the right time. I'll get that one later. This is my zeros. So I had 1, 2, 3 of the zeros already. So I got those signed. Now, those of you that may or may not know, the zeros were basically almost like a mini ash can, a little teaser, just a little, hey, this is what's to come. Those things received at many shops free. All they would have to do is pay for the shipping, or sometimes if they got bundles over, I think it was 100, then they would have to start paying like $1 per book, because the idea then they would start qualifying for all the ratios thereafter and before, but you would have to pay. So I end up not only again getting my zeros well before that, but I end up buying each one of the exclusives to qualify for. Unfortunately, I already showed you the one that I was getting, but here's one of the regular ones. And I had Derek Kolstad signed there. And then, all right, now this is a exclusive. All right, this exclusive is to Golden Apple. All right, now that's signed by Derek Kolstad, which is right there at the corner. Then It's signed by, which this cover is done by Shahin Chandrasoma. I believe this is his first real works. That's him right there. That's his signature. He'll eventually come in. There it is, framed somewhat. And then that's on the top in blue is David Barron. Now, David did the colors. Shahin Chandrasoma did the artwork. And again, the storyline was done by Derek with a little homage by a little hokey stuff. All right. So that was one of the exclusives. This is the exclusive from over at Revenge of Comics and Pinball. All right. That is also signed by David Kolstad. Thank you to the gang at Revenge of Comics and Pinball. This was a free book. Seriously. And really cool. I thought that was a rather unique book. And then, this is the right one. Yeah. I went over to Collector's Paradise and I had, this is a Joey Benitez cover. So I had Derek Kolstad, David Barron, and then let me see if I can find Joey yet. Oh yeah, duh, right there. Yeah, because Derek's at the top. Oh no, I'm totally misheard. Says squiggly? A purple squiggly right there. There it is. That's Joey Benitez. So yeah, I got that triple sign. Now this was a Collector's Paradise exclusive. Then by doing so, that qualified me to receive. And I got this directly from, I guess the guy was the president of That Idea. He was there, and I got that. Signed by Derek Colson. Now, Derek's really pushing this. My only, I guess, is that he's not only trying to get a vibe going on in the comic industry, but I think he wants to push this thing to go ahead and get it developed. That's the impression I'm really getting. So the conversation I had with him, and this guy will sit and talk to everybody. He's very warm. He's very welcoming. He's very genuine. And he seems kind of new to the comic industry in the sense of he is doing all these signing events and routes and everywhere. I mean, I do know even he's going to end up at San Diego Comic-Con. He's doing a lot of stuff right now. Yeah, the guy is just full of energy, full of excitement, full of exuberance, full of everything. I mean, it was a pleasure to speak to the guy because of how much fire is underneath this guy. It's really cool. So, and again, Joey, he's best known for doing Lady Mechanica, and his artwork comes across as such. You can see that influence of that Lady Mechanica styling. Excuse me. In his work here. I think it's really cool. It's really different. I don't really read Lady Mechanica. I do have some covers and some issues from Free Comic Book Day. I didn't have him sign anything. There was a few people there. I didn't want to take up any more time at the event that I felt that I already was. At the same point, I spent quite an amount of time just amongst people and just having a good conversation. I also had a raffle ticket that I usually don't normally win at these things. However, I did win a hat. And I had everyone sign it. To my knowledge, this is the first anything that all four contributors to the book so far have signed. As far as just artists, not necessarily. I know that other artist, what's his name? I'm going to get there. Venditti. I know he's on the East Coast, so that's why I didn't get anything from him. I think he might be over at the San Diego Comic-Con, so I will bring this. As you kind of guessing, I'm starting to get to that portion of it. So yeah, it was kind of cool to not only win a hat, but have all 4 guys sign it, which I thought was, yeah. Like I said, Shahin Chandrasoma, that's the first time he's not only did some works like this, but that's the first time that he has his name amongst all those other individuals on anything. So that's kind of a first of anything, which was kind of cool in my opinion. He and I kind of hit it off, and he's like, "Hey man, if you didn't get the cover from over at Golden Apple, I got one in my car." My jaw dropped, and I thought that was very, very generous to make that offering. And I told him, "Look, dude, I not only got it, but thank you. I appreciate you signing. Would you mind signing this and taking a picture with me?" So yeah, he privied that to me also, and yeah, I just had a wonderful, wonderful experience. Now, to finish it off, let's start with this one. That's how it looks more like. No, that's it. Okay. I end up getting rid of a lot of my Batman books, some of which I did keep. I've known Danny Mickey for quite a lot of years, so this is one of the books that just meant near and dear to me, and I also wanted to just maintain the designer variant. So here is the Batman 102 Ghost. What's his name? Yeah, Ghostmaker. So I had Danny Mickey sign this way back in 24. So a little over a year and a half ago, early April. And then I had David Barron sign this thing. So now I just got to have Tanyan sign this thing. He's over at San Diego Comic-Con, so you never know. I'm almost there. And then I had him sign this. So I've had Adam Beecham sign this thing and 11/18/2023, or no, in early 2023, I went to the Whittier Comic-Con that's not far from here, and had Norm Ratmoon sign this thing in 11/18/2023. And then just recently I had David Barron sign this thing for me. So I'm slowly filling this thing up. I really like this cover. It's pretty cool. True that. And he's still trying to get me on there. I won't do it. Not yet, at least. So now, yeah. I've yet to go to San Diego Comic-Con. What does that really mean? Last year I was privy enough to go ahead and receive gifted tickets. This year, because it's expensive, it's a little distance away, and I always try to go to LA Comic-Con, so it's hard for me to justify going down to San Diego. I've never done it other than last year. Last year was my first time, as I made mention. I got to go to 3 of the 4 days. It took a lot out of me. Yeah, because you guys know me, I like to get a lot of stuff signed. So this year, I had no plans of going. My kind of dream kind of lived out. That stated, I was hit up again by the person that gifted me the tickets last year. And hey, are you excited to go? I said, no, I don't normally go. My buddy's like, well, let's see what I can do. How about Sunday? Can you go Sunday? I said, really? He said, yeah. I said, sure. He goes, I got 2 tickets. I said, Kai can go. I didn't even ask Kai. So as a 1-2 Comic Talk / Entropy in Comics collaboration, which is not much of a big collab, Kai and I are going to cruise down to San Diego Comic-Con for his first time, my second time on Sunday. Hopefully we'll run into a few people down there outside of, just regular artists and creators. But hopefully we'll see some of you YouTube creator peoples. We'll be around. You hit us up. As I always say, you see us, you spot us, we'll buy you ice cream. Just saying. Hopefully John Comics the Kid will be down there. Or John Comics with. I did meet him last year, and there is a little pub that we found. I'm hoping we can run into each other again and go do that again. If that becomes a tradition, I would love that. It was a very cool place. I think we created a neat little memory, and hopefully a start of a new tradition, as I made statement. if nothing else, I'm not looking to get a whole lot signed. Just to meet a few people that I've never seen before. And like I said, some maybe hopefully you YouTube people. I look for that possibly happening. I am kind of caught off guard because I didn't have much time to prepare. I just found out day for yesterday. It's left me no time to go ahead and prepare amongst the other things that got going on. Yeah, buddy of mine put it really nicely. Sometimes life gets in the way of living, doesn't it? So I am hoping that not only, like I said, I can get some things ready, but like I am more over anything else. I'm hoping I can see you at San Diego Comic-Con. And for you, Pear, how you do? And Chef, that cruise on through. I appreciate you, truly. Hopefully I'll create a couple more memories. I'll see a bunch more people. I do look forward to seeing my sheet's right underneath my camera. But people like Stan Sakai. And I have at least, I think it was a list of 9 people who I've never seen before that I look forward to not only meeting for the first time, but to get a few books signed. So those of you that cruise on through, thank you. And hey, Pear, Chef, appreciate you, buddies. I truly do. And for those of you that cruise on through on the rewind, until next time, that's it for me. Entropy. Stay well.